All right. Before we get into our review, Sparks, did you see this movie?
I did see this movie.
All right. So full spoilers for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. If you don't want to know anything about this really short movie, skip to the end, skip to my Lou, whatever you want to do.
I emphatically swore I wasn't going to see this at the end of our Venom review, which is really funny.
Here's what I think.
I went back and listened to it.
I'm glad that you saw this one, so we can actually do a mulligan on the Harry Potter movie that's we're not going to see.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So full spoilers. Skip to the head. If you're watching this live, I don't know what to do. Turn it off, I guess. Come back in 30 minutes.
Check in on the book club.
Watch
tomorrow.
the rewind.
Yeah.
If you're watching the rewind, skip, whatever. It's
We're
time
doing
to
it.
So full spoilers for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. What do we think about this movie, Ben?
I had to stew on it for a while, but I like it more than the first one.
Ryan.
If the first Venom movie is a bad 90s comic, this is a good 90s comic.
Sparks?
You go first. You go ahead of me.
Oh, I had a good time. I think it is not particularly good, but it's entertaining. It's 90 minutes. I don't feel like I wasted any time.
Before you go, we watched Malignant last week, and talking about schlock and like camp. That is Malignant is a perfect version of that. I had a lot of same feelings in this. It's not executed nearly as well, but like
It's honestly 90 minutes. I got some good laughs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I ended up seeing this one by myself because of circumstances. So
because of me.
But yeah, not really. And so I saw it by myself, which was just an interesting context to do this in. And I have to say, I'm kind of bummed that that's the way it happened because I had a great time.
Yes! Yes! Sparks, I wish I would have saw this with you. Because, like, no offense to you, Ben, but, like, you don't appreciate Schlocker Camp as much as my friend over here does.
Guess
and
not.
There are just moments where I'm like, oh, my God, I really hope Sparks likes this part.
I couldn't believe I laughed out loud before
Thank
anybody
God.
else in my theater,
I'm
which
so
was
happy.
mostly crowded. And that I did it probably about 5 minutes into the movie. And I was like, oh, wow. Where am I?
All right, I've been tiptoeing a bit. So okay, so I'm so excited because I didn't know. Man, that was such a good way to tell that. I had no idea where that was gonna go. Yeah,
I really didn't want you guys to know where I landed.
Okay,
I had a
great time. Here's the thing though. We walked into the movie theater. We checked a ticket. Oh, popcorn right there. Cool. Hey, can we get a refill with no salt? We're already making a no salt, sir. Great. We don't even have to wait.
It's starting strong.
Starting great. Can we get can I have a $5 reward? Awesome. Look, this were
Saving money?
Everything was working.
We went early, so I paid matinee prices, so it was cheaper than normal too.
We got in there, and the first trailer started. We're like, damn, nailed it.
So
great time.
Okay, so again, last week we talked about Malignant, and in the first 5 minutes, like, oh, you know what this movie is.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes of this movie, when you have Woody Harrelson's voice over not Woody Harrelson, and it's just like, oh yes, Andy. Oh, Andy, thank you. Because like Andy Serkis understood the assignment. The script is not. I will not say the script's good in this movie.
No, I won't.
But Andy Serkis, he knew what movie. He brought Claw to this movie. I'm gonna make this the dumbest shit, and you guys are gonna love it. And I'm sorry if you don't like it. This is the best version of what a Venom sequel could be in my eyes. And I really hope Andy Serkis stays on specifically because for the sequel, which will be even crazier. Because like that dude gets how to do good special effects. I thought the special effects in this movie were great. I thought the action. Oh, it was in a well-lit church. It was in a well-lit police. Like, oh my God, I could see what's going on. Like
the action was really good.
Andy, like
you
might be a schlock king, my guy.
I never had the moment in the first Venom that I had in the first Venom film, which is there's a moment where what's the guy? Riot. And Venom were like glooping together.
We literally compared them to plastic trash bags blowing in the wind.
Yeah,
in our review,
like they're just glooping together. I never had that moment in this movie. I knew exactly where Carnage and Venom. And I can't see the color red.
Yeah, it really helps. Like Andy Serkis as a dude, obviously, like he's been in the special effects department for his entire career. Like that's what he's based off of.
He did the special effects for. I mean, he was doing the special effects shots for the Hobbit films. He was the second unit for the Hobbit.
Yeah. So like, and then he made Mowgli, which I haven't seen, but like his director credit is like he's been gaining it up. And like again, like this isn't high art, but it is extremely entertaining. And sometimes movies, again, just like Malignant, it's not as good as Malignant, but like sometimes movies can just be stupid fun. And with a character like Carnage, that's all Carnage is.
Mhm.
There was no depth to Carnage. He is a crazy psychopath, and sometimes that's okay. You can just have a silly villain. Woody Harrelson rules in this movie, you guys.
I
I
love.
love
Yes,
him.
I really
absolutely
like what he's doing.
I can't believe we're talking about Venom 2 and liking it. I'm so happy, you guys.
So I enjoy Tom Hardy. I thought he was pretty decent in this one.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I
God,
thought he was actually really good.
He's like story credit on this one, man.
Yeah, but with Woody Harrelson,
Let me be clear. I think I really like him as Eddie. I think he does an incredible job as Venom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he does the Venom voice too.
Incredible, because what sells me on the movie is Venom's running commentary.
Yeah.
Me too.
Some of
Me
my favorite jokes
too.
are Venom just saying shit.
There's a moment in the church where Venom just goes, "Get ready to die." All right, yeah. No, us, we're gonna die.
Yeah,
To like Tom Hardy's credit, there's a similar moment where like Venom's talking, but Eddie's like doing motions
Yeah.
like they're supposed to be, and it's like it's all working.
yeah, the scene at the end where Carter's like, "Come here," and he's like, hold on a second." Like, good stuff.
I don't remember what the line is, but I absolutely like just busted up because I wasn't prepared for it, and I wish I remembered it. But it's when Eddie's reading the postcard from Cletus,
Yeah.
and Venom says something just in the randomness of him reading that, and I was like, "What?" And I just was laughing.
I knew the humor was going to work for me in the trailer because I really liked the joke, and I still like it in the movie where he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Eddie. I don't know what came over me. Let me fix your nose. So I can break it again."
See, it's the thing about like out of context. I still don't like those trailers, but like full context, when I'm in the movie, I know what the tone is from the start. It all cements in. It all fits.
I was nervous from the trailers that they were going to go like, well, it needs to be funny, stupid funny the whole time. That's what
This is
people
a romance
They don't
movie.
take it seriously.
They really made this a romance movie.
And I thought they were gonna like just ham it up in the worst way.
Mhm.
That's not what happened.
Yeah.
No, it really can be likened to a rom-com between Eddie Brock and Venom.
They went hard like on that
They
stuff.
really did, and the that stuff works so well because I mean Tom Hardy has good chemistry with himself.
Yes, because he's a great physical comedian.
I was stunned when I was like, wow, I'm feeling things with Eddie driving away on the motorcycle and wanting to run himself into the truck, and Venom's like, "I'm sorry, Eddie, I can't heal emotional pain in my
Yeah.
heart." And I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
What happened?
Do I like this movie?
So Michelle Williams, like again, she doesn't have a lot to do. I think she's
So much better in this movie.
She now has like she knows what she's doing and she's allowed to just have fun and be silly. Like that
She
scene.
really didn't want to be there in that first movie.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Yeah, and like the scene with Mrs. Chen
Oh,
Venom.
Oh my god.
Oh, that I couldn't
the
handle
second she
it.
goes, wait a minute, and it's like,
She's like, "You're a big, strong daddy."
That was
and then Dan's in the back. What's going on?
Amazing. Amazing scene.
Yeah. I'm so glad that again, like Andy Serkis committed to like, yo, you guys, I know what movie I'm making, and like I hope you're along for the ride. And for the most part, people seem to be
I
happy about it.
honestly, after the movie, was second guessing myself as I drove over. I'm like, did I really like this
Yeah.
movie? And you're mentioning things. I'm like, oh my god, I really like this movie.
I think Carnage like is I don't really care about Carnage as a character because there's not a lot of depth to him, right? He's just a cool character like to fight. But in this movie, like the way that he's presented, like he is not the same type of symbiote that Eddie Brock is. Eddie Brock and Venom are separate, but because Carnage ate the blood, he's one with Carnage, right? So the way he transforms, it's so much, it's so different. And I wish he called him Daddy. I wish they just went with the 100%.
Because the joke of not you, father, you, father.
Yeah,
I love that.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
I absolutely love that
It's
when
so good.
Carnage goes, father. It's like, what? It's like, not you, him.
I really liked Carnage's design. I kind of do wish he was lankier because I like my Carnage is lanky.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But my only criticism with Carnage is honestly I wish he was in the movie more.
That I was surprised he wasn't.
We are introduced to him 30 minutes into the movie, and I think it should have been 15.
Yeah. For as short as the movie is, like I really like Woody Harrelson just like being able to like be weird the whole movie. Like I do wish there was more Carnage, but like it's not a detractor of the movie, but I'm like, oh, I like Carnage. So I hope again, because like in the comics, like this is exactly how he died in the comics. Like Venom eats him and then he just comes back later. So like he can come back. And I hope he does.
You already used the F-bomb.
I didn't swear.
No.
I did.
Sparks. But the line, F this guy.
Oh yeah, that's
People have been talking about it as like one of the best uses of an F-bomb.
I didn't think they would do it, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
Well, I kind of like how Woody Harrelson is just giving like his emotional performance. Like, you were my friend. It's like, I wanted your friendship. And he's like, I'm sorry, Cletus.
I was
and
telling you, Eddie, but you weren't listening. I'm listening now. I just wanted your friendship. I'm sorry.
F this guy.
God, Venom just kills the moment.
I'm just like, damn. You know what? I feel like the more I listen to you guys talk about it, the more I'm actually liking this movie. Because I'm not gonna lie, at first there were times where I'm kind of like, I don't know. Because you're right. Like if I knew what this movie was going into it, because I didn't know what this movie was going to be.
I felt so weird, like laughing in my little corner by myself, like at this movie when other people weren't. People who clearly liked it, because it got a standing ovation in my theater at the end. But I laughed harder than most people in that movie. I'm like, I can't believe this is where I am.
Yeah.
Going back to Michelle Williams, I wanted to highlight the thing that, like, I was like, man, she's really just like a whole other, like, honestly, for my money, like, I really hate Venom. I forgot how much I hate Venom. I didn't watch it again, but I listened to our review of it. I gave it a 2 out of 10. I really hated that movie. I will not forgive it, and I'm not going to watch it again. This doesn't improve it. But you can watch this one and never watch that one, and I think you're fine. And this one is really good.
Dude, if this were the first Venom movie, like, oh my God, like
it would be different.
I would feel so different.
Michelle Williams has this incredible moment where when she's like, I'm never doing that again. I don't know, maybe one time. It's really fun.
Yeah. I fell asleep in the first Venom movie, so I missed.
You finally saw She-Venom.
I missed She-Venom, and now I'm like, oh, that's what that looks like.
Yep.
Wow, like she brought it back.
I remember when we were talking about She-Venom, and you were like, "What do you mean She-Venom?"
Walked it out. No, yeah,
dude,
I was asleep.
Yep, you fell asleep.
Shriek. Naomi Harris, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Rules. Great schlock. Great. She just a bad guy. Like,
she does ham it up.
Being a fun.
There's
bad
a
guy.
moment that she has that was really funny to me because I was the only one who laughed at it. And it was because I'm a 2-year-old. But it's when Cletus turns into Carnage the first time in front of Shriek, and she goes, "Hot!
That's hot!
That's so hot!"
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh dang, what's she into?"
Yeah,
Both of these two play psychopaths or play these type of people.
And so I turned to Zara and just goes, "She's into the tentacle hentai."
I love the comedy of that sequence where he's killing the doctor, and
Oh,
it's a
and, like,
background thing.
it's
Yeah.
so good.
Like it's like I'm here, and then it's like he's at the cell. It's like what? But as I was saying, it's I love how both Woody Harrelson and what was her name?
Naomi Harris.
Naomi Harris. They play these type of people. They play these like crazy bombastic villains so
There
well.
are 3 actors from the Pirates franchise in this movie.
Oh, she was Teodoma.
Yep.
Frack, that's where I
Yeah,
recognize her
and
from.
the detective.
The detective is in the 2 recent
the
ones.
2 recent ones.
Yeah.
Who's the third?
He's a doctor who gets killed. He plays the main bad guy, like the evil British guy in the 3rd one. He slowly walks into his death. He's like a small cameo. He's not in it at all.
Weird.
But yeah, there's like 3 dudes. I'm like, oh, Pirates reunion.
Yeah, I because you brought it up, like I do have like some negative.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred the movie without Shriek, to be honest. And I've thought about it. And I'm like, I really like Naomi Harris in it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of it. My problem is that, like, if Cletus, Cassidy, and Carnage, they are a caricature of absolute serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are a caricature of like the most personality you can give to have some dialogue to what is essentially Michael Myers in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine with me. And I think that could be enough, like Woody Harrelson being weird, to work as an opposing force of Venom. But if you're going to insert a thing that's supposed to make an emotional connection of that, then Cletus needs more to it, and neither part of that. While I think like they're talented actors who are playing the moment well, the movie's too short to allow her character to be fleshed out at all, or to allow that romance to actually stick. And it makes Cletus less connective tissue of that for me. So I'm like, I'm kind of living in a space where I'm like, either keep him a caricature of like an absolute bonkers, insane serial killer, which is what makes him so dangerous, or actually flesh out something
So
here.
like,
And it lives in this space in between that sometimes works,
Yeah.
but sometimes doesn't.
I'll agree with you. there.
I won't disagree with you, and I hate.
I think it's more a symptom of the fact that the film is too short to to warrant Shriek's and Naomi Harris's inclusion, because she's doing a lot with very little.
Yeah. I won't disagree with any of that. Like, I think you're right. I think the movie needs to be longer if you're gonna do that whole subplot thing. I hate to be this guy, but like, that is like just they're directing, they're adapting a comic, and like that's literally like I posted panels today from Shriek and Carnage, like the same time, they meet the same exact way. So like they're just adapting the thing, and Shriek is a big part of that story. They could have cut her out, but like I like her being there because it is like a nice little foil, and it does add to, even though he is a serial killer, the little bit of emotion and empathy that he does have. But like I'm not gonna disagree with you there.
Yeah. I still have a great time watching it. I just do think like if I'm being critical of the film, like
Yeah.
that's where I think its Achilles heel is. I think it's in like not living in that space well enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's sometimes there. It's not all the time this doesn't work. It's just sometimes this doesn't. Sometimes this isn't clicking.
I actually agree with you. I do think like I get that she's in the comic, but if you could, if the movie isn't hurt or if you don't gain or lose anything by her inclusion in the movie, then having her in the comic is only interesting.
So
But
I
wanna
just don't
get into,
see-
I want to get into what I wanted to talk about with that is specifically is when she was doing her fight with Detective Mulligan. I found that significantly less interesting, surprisingly, to the Venom Carnage fight. I kept wanting them to cut back because when we cut to her, I was like, "Oh right, you're doing a thing."
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to see this thing though.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And it was nice for her to like, oh, I'm gonna get the comeuppance on the guy, but like that also like there's not enough there to really care. Yeah.
For me, like what it came down to is I was kind of just living with it and being okay with it to the end of the film because I was like, if Shriek Naomi Harris gets to do more with this at a later point in a sequel, great. But they kind of ring the death bell on that one, and I'm like, okay, so maybe not. Now I know that doesn't mean that she's dead for sure.
We didn't see a body.
Right. But the implication just looking at this film is that killed her. And I'm kind of like, okay.
Doesn't a bell land on her?
Yeah, but the thing is,
that's why I said
the
the
bell's
death bell.
hollow and it can land right on top of her.
Yeah, but there's a centerpiece right in the middle of a bell that would have.
Oh, but
No,
they take
they
that out.
take that
They
out.
took that out.
Venom uses it as a weapon.
No, because this was the second
I
bell.
think there's only one bell.
No,
in
there's
this.
only
Oh,
one
okay.
bell. Yeah. Listen, I'm just saying, like, we don't see her body.
We're talking about church architecture.
We're
now.
bringing Patrick Mulligan is Toxin in the comics. Like there's a whole arc with both of them. Like they're setting up stuff. Like they purposely didn't show her body just in case they bring her back. I think.
I hope so, because I think that she's just not treated the best by this script.
I mean,
is my
she's
point.
No, that's fair. Shriek also in the comics is just a crazy mad woman too. So like, what
Right.
do you do?
It's more,
No, I get you.
Comic adaptation aside,
No,
like
I know.
it's more just a
I just don't see how
what she can
like
be.
Cletus wants to get married to this lady, and like just the whole movie would
I mean,
be different.
Like I don't want to keep on this topic for long, but like there are definitely arguments to be made that people have adapted certain elements in comics better than they had been before. Again, that's the comic. We're not talking about the comic. We're talking about the movie. The movie, yes, has Shriek because she's in the comic, but that's the only reason why she's in there. They don't give her more, then I don't see the point, because if you don't lose anything by taking her out of this movie, but we shouldn't.
No, I know, and I just personally, I don't see how you take her out of the movie and the movie stay the same. But that's me. What else do we got? Do you guys like the detective? I thought he was fine for the most part. Like I thought it was Donnie Wahlberg.
I liked him sometimes.
I
like him sometimes.
He's just like
I liked him better when I found out he was the cop from the beginning.
Oh, I knew that from the second I met him.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, they like hard focus
very-
on his
yeah.
name tag to say Mulligan.
No, I know. I
and
just
the
didn't care.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's yeah. I thought again, like it's kind of in a similar vein as what I was saying before with the Shriek and Carnage stuff, which is just like sometimes he really worked and sometimes he didn't, and it's really strange where that balance was. Ultimately, like he kind of feel I wish there was more something to his interaction with Shriek in the end of the film, but he's just kind of a passive participant.
I think
in that. So like there's nothing making me want to engage with him more.
I think
in
the
a future
problem
date.
that they did was like they did like the cliffhanger thing of like, oh, I'm going to become a symbiote, but like instead of having a nice resolution, they just made it a cliffhanger for the next movie. So it's like there's no real resolution between those characters,
right? And I mean,
up
like
until that point, he looks like the only one of our heroes who's died.
Until his eyes turn blue.
Until his eyes turn
and
blue.
it's like it's weird. This is one of like the weaker points in the script in general, which is just like he has a history with her, but like it's not packed with a lot of meaning. It's just like, yeah, he took an eye and he took her eye and he lost some hearing, and I'm like, cool, but like he was just doing his job. Like there's not a lot of personal vendetta, in a sense there or at least it's not there in the
we have
the
one
script
scene
of like for her it is, but for him it isn't.
We have one scene with him in his
it's
ear.
exactly what it's exactly what you talked about with the idea that like look Andy Serkis is doing a lot with a very weak script. He is wringing out that script with the best stuff that he can. He made a really schlocky film where that script isn't.
And I bet Tom Hardy like having like helped the script. Like I bet like his like Tom Hardy schlock and Andy Serkis like saved this movie
because the strongest stuff is definitely Eddie and Venom.
100%. Yeah,
I think,
and both individually and together.
So I think they're doing a lot with that script. Look, all the criticism that I've heard are from the script.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with how Andy Serkis directed this, in my opinion.
No,
No,
I
man, I wonder, like, without Tom Hardy's like, hey, can I help write this thing? Because like I feel like I know this character better than you guys do.
Because
Like-
you got a story credit.
Yeah, like I can't imagine, like, if this were just another, like, if the first movie works when it's like the silly stuff that we didn't expect, and they like, okay, that's what
but that
works.
was few and far between.
That was
in
few
that
far
one.
between, right?
Mhm.
They realized, okay, let's double down on that, and they did. And like, this isn't really the Venom from the comics,
No.
personality wise,
God,
but
no.
the thing they're doing here works. And I
It's-
am excited for the future
It's-
now that this is here.
It's tonally consistent where the first one wasn't.
Yes,
And it has a soul when the first one was soulless.
100%. Like,
we talked about it before. The first one felt like it was made by committee. It was completely made out of being driven by money, and the only person who gave a shit about it in it was Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now with this one, he got a creative team who gave a shit about it.
absolutely, yeah.
And he got everybody else that was in the movie to give a shit about it.
Yeah.
I just again, because listening to interviews and stuff, Woody Harrelson at first just wanted Andy Serkis to be Carnage, and Andy was like, "No, man, like you need to do
You
this.
need to
Like
do this,
you're
yeah,
Carnage." And then Woody's like, "Hell yeah, actually, I really enjoy doing it. I think it's better for it." I'm like, "Hell yeah, Andy."
Oh, I want to talk about my favorite scene, which is Carnage's escape. That scene rules.
Oh, you mean when he turns into a whirlwind?
When he turns into a whirlwind.
What?
When he turns into a tornado and pulls the doctor in. Like, I just think the moment he escaped, he like bursts out and starts killing people. The horror in that sequence is really well played out,
Mhm,
like a
mhm.
monster movie, and the like Terminator-esqueness of him walking through the cells.
Thank you so much for saying monster movie. I agree with you, everything you were saying. The opening of the film, the way they do the title, I'm like, this is so
Yeah.
old school
music?
B
I'm
monster
telling you,
movie.
we just watched
So
Malignant
good.
with the castle on the hill.
No, I know, and I was
It's
sitting there, and I'm like,
yeah.
that more than like the setup of like Shriek and Cletus, like put me in the, oh man, are we in for a really good time?
Mhm, mhm.
And we were.
Again, it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah,
I've seen worse movies that are way longer.
there are movies that are twice its length. That like, oh my god, like,
and I was entertained
Yeah.
like pretty much the entire time, which is really impressive. I honestly thought when they did the Eddie separating from Venom thing, I'm like, this is where it's going to lose me. And nope, I was still solid with it.
And I was worried about how long that I was thinking about that when that happened. I was like, this movie isn't that long. Do we have time to do the subplot?
Mhm.
Yeah, we had plenty of time. It worked.
the rave scene.
because
I
you
love
did
it.
the essentials and you didn't like fill it.
Yeah.
The rave scene, I think it's really funny. I think it's great. It's like it's really like it's
Eddie was wrong.
yeah, like it's his coming out party in like a way, I guess. I thought it was really fun. And this like Venom again, like this is not the Venom that we've read recently. But like 90s Venom, Lethal Protector, baby, why not?
Oh, there is another weird, like, again, this is really a script problem, but there is another weird plot thing that kind of irked me when it goes by so fast it's easy to kind of just forget it. But like, there's this whole thing about how like because he finds Cletus's body, they're like making these news report. Literally, the news is talking about Eddie Brock and saying now he's back on top. And I'm like, does back on top mean he bought a new TV and that's the end of the story? Like, there's nothing else about his life that really changes. And I'm like, this isn't an avenue where we're going to talk about like Eddie Brock can finally get out that piece where he was like championing the homeless in the original.
Yeah.
Nope.
That feels like the 10 minutes that they cut from the movie are like, oh, like
Well, even
it just doesn't match.
well, even with like Venom is talking about it, I was like, I got my life back, and everything's going well for us. Like, is it? This is the chickens are still there, like,
Right,
the
yeah,
sun's
like,
shining.
like
Is it?
nothing. Yeah, that was just kind of a weird beat where it's like this was supposed to be a big deal, but like nobody gives a like even in the context of the rest of the film, nobody gives a shit about Eddie Brock still. Like nobody gives a shit about what he's doing.
That reporter shows up like for 3 times on TV and it's like Eddie's back, and then it's never brought up again.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
back on top, and like they put the like cool, he's on his motorcycle, like yeah he is at a moment, and then like
It's like he
it
has
kind of amounts to nothing. Yeah.
It's like he has a newer motorcycle. It's like it's a better looking one, and it's like, yeah, look
I
at me, I'm
would-
successful again. And it's like you just have one motorcycle, bud.
I wouldn't be
That's it.
shocked if there's like deleted scenes. and
I
stuff.
love that they kind of created the pseudo Peter Parker story, but for him with Detective Mulligan.
Yeah.
Which is that like, because of how he founded the bodies, and like the detective now really hates him because he was on top of that information and didn't share it, and he's like, oh, what?
I really liked them. Venom was like, "What are you doing? Doing your job." He's trying to like write down all
the
the
drawing
things.
scene, I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love how like you see like it's like Venom's like Eddie, look, and then you see the drawings in Cletus' cell, and then it's like, hey, look, there's a spot. That's probably where the bodies are, and sure enough, there the bodies are.
What are you doing? Your job. Yeah, I
Stupid.
really like all that. When we get interesting animation interpretation of Cletus's past. I
Oh,
thought that was
that
really
was-
cool.
yeah.
Coming
That
out
was
of the
dope.
postcard, I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool, really unique. I'm like, man, this movie just like keeps throwing things at
Oh,
me
yeah, seeing
visually that I'm just crazy
Cletus's
about.
past and anime. Yeah.
His origin story as he hits the spider, that was
His
cute.
origin
Yeah,
crushed me.
yeah.
Like I don't know if that's just how he says it, how Woody Harrelson
I don't give a
says
shit.
it, but like that there took me back to
There was a
symbiote.
There was some kind of spider bit in the first one too, but I like that they hit it even more on the nose
when
in
he
this one.
went the symbiote, the symbiotes of the first film trailer, the origin. My God, origin.
Yeah.
It's origin.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, I'm floored, honestly, with
Yeah.
how much I enjoyed it.
I wish the script was better because this movie would have
Yeah.
ruled.
Yeah.
But for that being said, like I'm surprisingly very funny, brisk. That Mrs. Chen moment is incredible. Like Mrs. Good on that actor.
The spooky eyes, yeah.
I love their relationship with her as well. I think that works really well.
No, you cannot
Um,
eat Mrs. Chen.
I
Eddie's-
learned
Eddie-
something.
Tom Hardy's got some incredible moments as Eddie where he's just like talking to himself and the way he plays it off, and he's like, "You suck." What? I don't know how to explain that one.
Yeah, that
I'm
one-
having a panic attack.
That one really got me.
That
yeah.
was really.
that was really good. It's
or
like
the when he's talking to the guys. What are you doing? He's practicing for a play. You
everything,
suck. You
everything,
suck.
everything that didn't work about those interactions in the first one really work in this one, and
Yeah.
it's really incredible how like just absolutely a 180 on it is.
It helps. Yeah. Like, man, it's like it's weird. Like again, like Tom Hardy, like not my first pick for Venom, but like now that we're here and like he seems to really like it.
He is connected to the character, and like I do not think there is enough evidence to support that actors who play characters should always write their characters.
Oh yeah.
But he has taken to this role similar to Ryan Reynolds took to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Again, like as you brought up, like this is not Venom from the comics, but they have found a way to make Venom their own.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't mind it being different as long as it is something of a clear vision, and if it's working, and this is working and
different
of a clear
character.
vision, which is not the first movie.
And he's still doing the Lethal Protector thing. Like even though
Love
it's
it.
even
I
though
think
it's
really
even
cute.
though it's like sillier than the
The
comics.
chocolate thing is also from the comics because there was a while
my-
they wouldn't let Venom eat people, so he ate chocolate.
Another bit like early on in the film that like made me go, oh, I'm gonna like this is when he's jumping around as Venom, but then they're getting the phone call from
Aaron's
Ann, and so he gets locked onto the roof and he's
hanging in there.
Um,
Oh god.
when he goes to the meetup with her and Venom gets really mad, like just the way Venom's being inside of
I'm gonna
him.
make you cry.
I'm gonna make you cry, Eddie. She'll love it. Eddie, I'm gonna make you cry. And Tom Hardy's doing a really good job of like internalizing Tom Hardy because he plays Venom is able to like know what that voice is and engage with all those things. He's doing so much good acting in the moments when Venom's supposed to be speaking, and it really, really works. It sells the whole thing.
Yes.
I can't praise that enough. I think he really brought it in this one in a way that I don't think it was there in the first one.
100%.
Shall I rate?
No, we got to talk about the finale.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to think of like there's something in the third act that like I feel like I want to touch on, but I can't place it.
Not you, father. You, father.
Again, I think the actions like it's still just like two goo people fighting each other, but like it's
so much clearer.
It's so much clearer.
It's the genius of how they use the bell to constantly have them turn out of Venom and Carnage back into
Oh,
the
I
two,
love
so they have a
that.
conversation and then they're turning back in, but then the bell
Yes.
rings again, so they have to separate and keep the conversation going. It was such an organic way to have them still be able to have those confrontational moments of conversation, but not feel like you're breaking up the fight.
It's definitely felt old school superhero film in
It
that
did,
sense.
but in a good way.
That's why I mean, like again, like the first one's a bad old superhero movie. This one's a good old school superhero movie.
There's a lot of times in the old school superhero films that they would like punch, 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 talk, 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 punch, punch, punch.
That's why
And,
I
like-
called Venom a 2004 film at the beginning.
And like and sometimes that worked well, sometimes that didn't. And,
Yeah.
and this situation was really but there was a value to that because you got emotional moments out of fight sequences, especially when characters needed to take off masks and whatnot. That was a very organic way to do that in this movie that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I will praise the script. Like any other version of this movie usually would leave Dan the moment he made the call and said they're going to Grace Cathedral. Dan still shows up.
Oh my god,
Lights
with
Carnage
fire.
on fire,
Yes.
fire and sound without the sound. Like
I was
Dan still being a player and like playing with the relationships there and like getting at the end like Venom being like, Dan, you take care too. I don't think we really needed him. He was kind of more of a hindrance, if I'm being honest. Like Dan being still a player
supply a net positive.
was such a good choice that made the film still feel alive.
I was actually scared that Dan was gonna die.
Me too.
I
so did
wasn't
I.
worried about Anne. but I was worried about Dan.
I was also scared that like once Dan was there and he's pouring the thing and lighting on fire, it's like fire and sound. I was like, oh, please tell me he's not gonna
because
die.
what was interesting is that Screech looks at him like, oh no, my baby's being killed, and whatever, and she looks like she's gonna go after Dan, and that's gonna be like Dan's fight now that she's done with Mulligan. But then she just goes back to Mulligan.
Yeah.
She's like, oops, guess that worked out.
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Loved it. Like there was so much good there. Just impressive.
Okay.
The fact, real quick, the fact that it's 90 minutes, like I'm not going to see this again in theaters, but like
You know what, I might.
I'm
I'm gonna own this.
definitely.
I'll be honest with
watch
you. Like
this.
I enjoyed this enough. This will be on my shelf.
will
The
definitely
first one
yeah.
never will be. It's not worth going back for.
No.
I don't need it to enjoy this one.
Yeah.
But this one was a good time, and
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. I love the context of how it ends at the beach.
Now that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
guys,
Loving
now
someone
now
means
that
accepting all their faults.
yeah, now that we're here and like Venom's in the MCU
Well,
in some
Temporarily.
in some capacity.
well,
Listen, I'm not going into speculation. I'm just like,
He's
hey,
making a pit stop.
Spider-Man and Venom are gonna meet. Now that we're here, if this were Venom 1, I would be freaking out. But now that we're at Venom 2, and like, oh shit, I'm into this.
So okay, so I had the post. We'll talk about the post credits scene now, I guess.
Yeah.
I had the post credits scene spoiled for me months ago. Yeah, months ago. That's over an exaggeration, but a
Wow.
while ago.
Okay.
And I brushed it off because I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
Because I just didn't believe it. And then when it happened, I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually kind of looking forward to this."
Yeah. All those Spider-Man 3 rumors are definitely true now.
I looked it up a while ago.
So did I.
Because
'Cause
I
I
just
didn't care.
wanted to know and I didn't care, and I'm like, how much I wanted to know outside of reviews, how much do I need to give a shit about this movie?
Mhm.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, like I have to for a second put the post-credit scene aside, and I want to talk about Andy Serkis talking about it, which is very revealing of the fact that like they don't know. They don't know what this means or why they did it. They're just
it's
trying
the
to make
setup.
sure that the audience knows like Spider-Man's on the table eventually.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily going to be soon.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily No Way Home.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily Venom 3. And I'm like, that's what kind of gets to me is that I'm like,
There's no plan.
there's nothing there. So I kind of did think, I'll be honest, because we've talked about the No Way Home trailer. I didn't bring it up then. There's that shot where people think it's the lizard. I thought it might be Venom. I thought they were obscuring Venom from us, and I'm like, it's probably Venom, honestly.
It could be.
I guess that could still be true, but Andy Serkis has talked about it in such a way where I'm like, I'm kind of convinced that there isn't a plan because they were so herky-jerky about how they were going to try and hint at Tom
Yeah.
Holland. I'm kind of bothered that it's just bullshit for bullshit's purpose of saying this can still happen. Like, I didn't need that.
There is a sense, no matter what, look, whatever happens at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, I don't think Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are sticking around in the MCU. I think they're going back to their universes.
Sure.
And I think similarly, the whatever Doctor Strange did to open up the universes for Spider-Man brought Venom to the MCU, and at the end of that movie, he's probably going back.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get rid of his supporting cast.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I don't think Venom's in No Way Home, so I don't know what this is for.
Yeah.
I think
Because
honestly,
I
yeah.
agree with you, Venom 3 will be in Venom's universe.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, eventually there will be a Spider-Man Venom thing somehow.
So it's weird
But
that
again-
Venom looked a
But
kid.
again, like I am more pro like, hey, Venom in the MCU. I'm cool with it because I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. I still don't give a shit about him seeing Spider-Man though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're not connected.
Yeah.
That don't mean dick.
Right, which is why it's so weird in this movie where it's like Venom kind of has a like a draw to Spider-Man somehow.
Yeah.
And that
And
was
well,
weird.
and
Like, why?
So
why
there's
does
an
he have
implication
that?
of them like having some kind of homogenous hive mind between the
They're
symbiotes,
talking
regardless
like
of
the
like
Clintar stuff. Yeah.
but it's also implied like regardless of a multiversal bond, like as somewhere in the recesses of his mind is like connection to other versions of himself. But then he's like, I'll show you a fraction of a second of a thing, and then
But then something else
but
happens.
then the thing that happens isn't the thing he's doing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why even have that line? That's so weird.
it's a setup for the next movie before we get up to set up for whatever the next crossover will be, I guess. It is, I agree. Like this was them. We're putting Thanos at the end of Avengers, and
Yes,
whatever happens
yes,
next.
that's
yeah.
a great parallel where
Yeah.
it's like we have no idea.
It's
We just
just
want
the
you to know it's
setup.
there, right?
Yeah, and
And
like
it's not going to be the thing addressed soon.
Well, it's
it
very.
won't be. Yeah.
It's also very similar to just like, you know, they were like, hey, remember Spider-Man's next, because the first Venom ends with, hey, remember Miles Morales is next.
Mhm.
So like Venom just seems to be the post credits for Venom just tease the next Spider-Man movie
Yeah.
every time.
Right. And it's so weird because it's like I agree with Ryan. I think his analogy is spot on with the Thanos tease because it's like we're probably not going to see the comeuppance of this for like 8 years.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, like that is
I will
exaggeratory, but like
It won't be Doctor Strange. It won't be the next Spider-Man or Doctor Strange, but I do think Venom 3 in 2 years, 3 years.
You think Venom 3 has Spider-Man in it?
Yeah.
I don't. I still don't think that. I think, especially again, like I will go back to Andy Serkis wants to do the third one. I can't imagine why they wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
He said that he thinks there needs to be a few Venom movies
Oh, I
before you do
agree.
the Spider-Man
Oh,
meetup. So I would not be surprised if we're still a little ways away behind
See,
that.
I trust
thing
Andy
happening.
Serkis wanting to take his time. I don't trust Sony and Amy Pascal to take
Sure.
their time. That's the thing. Yeah.
There is we didn't talk about it in the news because this is rumor that a lot of people are running with fact. There's a rumor rolling around that there is a new Spider-Man deal, which that's not a rumor. Like, obviously, there would be a new Spider-Man deal on the table.
There will be
for Sony. But the rumored terms that Sony wants is that there needs to be a second Spider-Man trilogy and set in the MCU, and that Venom needs to meet Spider-Man. So theoretically, if that was the case, then that deal's not signed yet, which means that Sparks is right. We were not seeing Venom meet Spider-Man for at least a little while.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. I that's all. Like it's just. The only I don't mind all this happening. Again, like I kind of don't care. And they're gonna have to do a lot of legwork to make me care. This is very much like the mentality that makes me nervous about No Way Home. Just a side tangent, which is that the connection of the villains to Peter Parker is irrelevant in the minds of like we just want to get these people in the movies from Sony's perspective. And I'm like, is that really okay? And that's kind of still the logic with Venom and Spider-Man because I'm like they have no history, and I feel like there is a way you could make it work. And it's unfortunate, honestly, that it's not going to be No Way Home.
Yeah.
Very likely that
As
is not
far
where
as we
Venom
know.
goes. Very likely, let's just assume that's not how Venom comes after Spider-Man, because that at least would make some sense of conflict. Because Venom's prerogative can be, we're the lethal protector
That's-
now.
yes.
He killed a guy.
That's 100% why.
But unfortunately, I don't think that's what the setup will be.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. Because it is the opportunity.
Yeah, I think I can totally see Tom Hardy trolling us with that picture.
And I still have no idea what this means about frickin' Morbius out there.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Who knows where that,
Morbius
when or where
knows.
that is.
I forgot about Morbius.
I'm sure. Look, I don't. I'm not putting it out. I'm putting it out there that it's possible that the Morbius movie does not have the Vulture in it.
Right.
Like they just cut him out.
Not the director's last interview I read.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean they can cut something out with.
Yeah, more than anything, like it is. Again, like it's nice to have come to the end of the movie, and like when that post-credits tease happens, I'm like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like that's great. More multiverse stuff. This is now just as acceptable to me as like the Amazing Spider-Man stuff crossing over. Like great. The multiverse exists.
Yeah.
But it is very much like but like what does this mean? And I kind of wish you had an idea of what it means, but you don't. You just want us to.
Yeah.
That's
to
just
get,
been Sony.
You just want to get everybody wet.
But
for
again,
it, and I
That's
get
just
it.
been Sony's MO for decades.
Yeah, but also like again, like with the thing with like Thanos and the Avengers, like I don't know the next game is going to show up, but I know now that that's possible. And I am now in a world where again, 2 years ago, I would be like, I don't want to have this happen.
Sure,
we've talked about it for years.
Yeah,
but like, they made me a believer in Venom. They could make me a believer of Spider-Man and Venom. Like, of course, you got to get there.
Sony, as I said, has been does this a lot when they don't have a plan, but they just want to do Spider-Man. And we talked about that once they couldn't do Spider-Man anymore on their own, so they were like, let's keep making money off Spider-Man, so let's do Venom, let's do Morbius.
The one thing I'm truly
they just keep doing the shit.
The one thing I'm truly grateful for is that they've cemented that Venom doesn't exist in the MCU currently.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad that we can stop having that conversation where it's
Me
like
too.
this is an MCU movie, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Ant-Man's not there.
It's like it's a multiverse film, but it's not an MCU movie. It is connected, but it's not connected.
Yeah.
Great.
Like you said, Brandon, like Venom is taking a pit stop, and then he'll go back to the Spunk or the whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Spider-Man universe of Marvel characters.
Spunk.
Yeah.
No, they changed it. It's not that anymore. It's something different.
No, but there was Sony Pictures universes of No, it's Sony's universe of Spider-Man characters.
Is that what they changed it to?
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed it. Anyway, I think we're all pleasantly surprised by Venom 2.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so happy that we're here because, like, again, like I never want to go into a movie knowing it's going to be bad. Like I want to have a good
I
time.
loved you guys on Pins and Needles. Like, where's he going?
Why don't we rate it? Why don't I start with Sparks actually?
Solid 7 out of 10.
Cool. Ryan?
7.5 out of 10.
Ben?
Also 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Could even be convinced of 7.5. We'll see.
Honestly, on a second viewing, it might go up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Nobody is more surprised than me.
Why don't we get into our book club then?
Sounds good.
Oh yeah.